Well, we are going live. Hello. Hello, everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. We have got a lovely guest, Amy Pease. Please welcome her with a big round of applause. So nice of you, Amy. So nice of
Thank
you. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, before I proceed further, there is a question for all the audience that have you ever thought that how high a person can rebound? You will be amazed when you listen to Amy. Yes, that is the reality. And here are the few two lines I'm going to tell about Amy, and then we will have her introduction from her mouth only. Well, meet Amy Pease, a resilient single mother who escaped a manipulative, mentally abusive family to retire at the age of 44 and dedicated her life to empowering others. After 2 decades of researching dark psychology, human behavior, and healing, she offers no nonsense coaching courses and a community to help survivors of toxicity reclaim their inner strength and build purposeful future. Yes, all these credits goes to lovely Amy. Amy, platform is yours, and we would love to have your small introduction if you can give us. Amy, please.
thank you so much, Dinesh, for having me on. I'm really honored to be here and to be a part of your show and speaking with your community and your viewers. And it's just an honor to be here. And so I came from a very toxic background. I was born into a family that didn't want me. I was adopted after that into a manipulative and toxic family and had no idea that's what I was growing up in until I was an early adult and realized the damage that they were really doing to me, to my life,
Mhm.
and then, of course, to my son's life. I was a single mother at the time when I left everything behind. And it took me, after leaving everything, finding the strength to cut myself off from the only family I'd ever known to where I'm at now. It took me roughly 20 years to get over that and to figure that all out on my own. I didn't have the help, I didn't have the resources. And so that's what I do now is I've put together the resources, I've put together the roadmap, and it's all in courses, writing books, creating communities, and just connecting with people online, trying to help as many people as I can through the aftermath of leaving a toxic situation, whether it's spousal abuse or mental abuse, family, siblings, friends, coworkers. It can come from any angle in your life. You never know where it's going to come from, but the aftermath is what we're not prepared for. That's what I really help people with.
Oh, great. Superb. Well, the information that you gave from that, there is a very simple question that I would like to ask you. And
Yeah,
before I ask you, Amy, let me tell you that these are few of the questions that our listeners have sent. So I have selected few out of them. And
yeah.
here is the first question for you, Amy. And it goes like this. Amy, your journey began with escaping a manipulative adoptive family while raising an autistic son alone. My God, which must have taken immense courage. I can't believe it. Wow. What was the pivotal moment that made you decide to break free and start rebuilding your life? Amy, please share.
Yeah, so it was actually a doctor that I had went to go see. My family had me seeing a ton of mental health providers convincing me that I was crazy, depressed, and I had all these other mental health issues. In an effort to control me, they had me on just about every mental health medication and just about every mental health diagnosis you can dream of in an effort to keep me under control. But it was a doctor I'd never seen before who came forward, looked at my chart. I went in to see him because I was having a severe panic attack, and I came in to see him for more medication to calm me down. And it was him who he's the one who told me and looked right at me after reading my chart and said, Amy, your problem is not clinical. Looking at everything that you've been through, reading through your chart, looking at all the medications you've tried, looking at all the diagnoses we've tried, and nothing has worked in the years we've been trying to help you. I'm going to tell you straight forward right now, and you're not going to want to hear this, is that your problem is situational. And as soon as you change your situation, your life is going to turn around. There is no chemical that's going to fix this for you. There is no medication. There is no therapy that it's going to change anything unless you get out of the abusive situation that you're in. You can't take a pill to make you happy in a crappy situation. It doesn't work that way. You don't have a chemical imbalance. You have an imbalance in your life, and you need to figure that out. And as soon as you figure that out, I promise you things are going to turn around. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me like a train. I'm like, oh my God, that's my whole family. This is everybody that I've ever known that I thought loved me through my whole life. And I had to come to terms with that and find the strength to confront them, face them, and ultimately leave. It was stay in the toxic situation or go into single motherhood. Neither one was an ideal situation, but one led to opportunity and peace, and the other led to destruction and possibly death because I was suicidal at the time. And so that's what it really was.
Great. What a courageous step that you have taken. My
Thank you.
God. Wow. Well, Amy, of you after retiring at 44 to pursue your passion, you have dedicated yourself to helping others overcoming toxicity and mental abuse. Would you like to tell that how did your personal healing journey shape the no nonsense approach to use in your coaching courses? Amy, please.
Yeah, it really came from that doctor who gave me the no nonsense truth and telling me just straight up what needed to happen in my life. And I took that with me through my healing journey. And so you hear a lot of fluffy words. You hear a lot of other coaches that package a lot of things in nice words that feel good to hear. But in reality, those are the things that are not going to get you to where you want to be. It's not going to pull you out of the darkness. It's not going to pull you out of the pit of despair that you're in, to use an old movie reference. That's not what's going to work. It's the truth. It's brutal honesty with yourself and looking at yourself and realizing, what about me? What role did I play in my own abuse so that I can overcome that and I can move
Mhm.
forward and not fall for the same toxic behaviors in the future. And so it was really looking at my behaviors and my past and my patterns. And that's what I bring to my clients, because you can read all the affirmations you want, but if you don't have the truth, and if you're not looking at the hard truth, which is within
Mhm.
you, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep reading the same books and the same affirmations, just reworded a little different, but it's not going to get you to where you need to be.
Very correct. Charity begins at home. Unless and until you improvise yourself, how can you think of making others? Very correct.
Exactly.
Yes. And the way, before I proceed to my next question, really, I feel so proud that the way you have opened and you are showing the world that yes, this is possible. Really, I'm thrilled to have you. Lovely. Well, Amy, here is the next question that I would like to ask you, and that's Amy, you have spent nearly 2 decades of researching dog psychology, ancient warfare strategies, and human behaviors. In what way these ancient tactics mirror the modern manipulation, and how do you teach people to spot and counter them? How do you do it, Amy? Please explain.
Yeah, so it was a very important part of my healing journey. Was I needed to understand why the things happened to me that happened to me. um, it's just the way that I was wired. I needed to understand why. Why did my family do this? What part of their personalities or past traumas made them who they are that put me in this situation that I was in? And what ultimately qualities or traits did I inherit from them being raised in that kind of situation? And so that's where that whole side of everything came from. I had to dive deep into those principles and those truths because it is a part of it. You have to understand what toxic people ultimately
Correct.
are like and what they're thinking and what their motives are. And once you realize that a toxic person is playing a game with you, well, now you got to understand the game and the rules of the game if you're ever going to break free and ultimately defeat them at their own game, essentially. And so that's a whole other part that I teach and I discuss in my content and in my courses is what does that look like? Because they wear a mask. They wear a really good mask. They're really good at the love bombing and making you feel like you're this special person. And ultimately, you've got to be able to recognize that and the red flags. And that only comes from educating yourself on this side of humanity that you really don't want to think about, but it's necessary.
Very correct. Yeah. Yes. This reminded me the proverb that it is said that when you have a hammer in your hand, everything that you see is the tip of the nail.
Yep.
So, yes, unless and until someone who makes you realize that the reality is something different than what you are thinking. Very correct. Yes. And perhaps that is the reason that the coaches like you are needed who can show the reality. Yes, very correct. Well, Amy, here is my next question, and it's like this that Amy, your story emphasizes turning past pain into tool. Wow, for the pursuing passion and building purposeful future. Beautiful. Can you share an example from your life where pain became the fuel for your greatest achievement? What was that? Amy, please.
Oh, absolutely. I've been using my past pain from my traumas my whole life to get me to where I'm at. And it is taking that anger and that disgust that we have for the trauma, for the situation, for the people that perpetuated the abuse on us, taking all of those raw negative emotions and using that as a fuel source to continue to move forward. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to prove you wrong. I can do
Right.
these things regardless of what you think or say to me, and turning those negative thought processes that we ultimately end up inheriting from a toxic situation as well. That's the abuser in our mind still living inside of us rent free. And that's where we use that negativity as that fuel source and say, okay, yes, I'm thinking this, but that is that person talking to me, and I'm going to show them wrong. And you know what? I've shown them all wrong because here I am now, completely free from them, retired at 44, now teaching everybody else how to do this, how to do the same thing, because it really is just taking that energy and turning it into something positive and something that you look forward to every day.
Wow, yes. It is said that if you have got a pot and if it is not empty, then whatever stress or effort you put, you cannot feel it. Your pot has to be empty. So unless and until you take out your negative thoughts or whatever you say, it's no way that you can fill it with the positivity or with the preaching or teaching that you anyone wants to have. Lovely. Yes. Wow.
Absolutely.
In a very simple way, you have explained so nicely. I loved that.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, your story emphasizes turning past pain into it. Sorry. Well, Amy, building a community for the survivors of trauma. is central to your work. Wow, great. Including one-on-one coaching and live events. From where do you get so much of time? Great. Amy, what's the most transformative change you have witnessed in someone who joined your community?
Oh goodness, I have so many stories, but one of my favorites, I've got a couple, but one of my favorites was an elderly woman, 76 years old, who lived with her trauma her whole life and carried it into relationship after relationship. And what I love
Mhm.
about her story is the fact that it doesn't matter at what age you begin this, at what
Oh,
stage of life. You know, you
mhm,
don't have to be in your early adulthood or midlife. You know, there is always time to turn it around and find that peace. And so now she takes what she's learned and she's started her own community now that she's free from her toxic
mhm,
situations, and she does the same thing now, and she helps many other people just by sharing her story and sharing some of the same principles that I taught her. But she does it for an elderly community, the same, you know, group of women that she kind of grew up with, raised children with, and they're all in that same situation and mindset. And so now she gets to take the lead on that and really help these elderly women out. I have another gal who's much younger, and she started her own coaching business after having a bunch of other realizations in her life. She's in her early 20s, and she realized that she needed to learn all of the traumas and the toxicity that she was portraying, against other people, that she had learned from her parents. And so she had learned these behaviors from her parents, and she realized that she was doing this to other people. She didn't know it. She couldn't figure out why she was having so many relationship issues, couldn't keep a boyfriend, had trouble with friends. And it was when she realized finally that, you know, maybe I'm the one who has these toxic behaviors. And when she started looking at the patterns and looking at her past and how she was raised, she was finally ultimately able to defeat those toxic
mhm.
patterns from the trauma she was raised in. And so that's
Oh,
what the truth can really bring to you, is being able to face what is within you so that you can transform that, whether you are becoming the abuser yourself or you are the abused and you've waited decades to come to this point where you're finally able and ready to take life by the horns, I guess, and just go for it and free yourself.
great. And Amy, when you light one candle and that one candle lights hundreds of other candles, then you think the amount of joy and pleasure that you experience.
Yep,
Lovely. By the
that's
way,
right.
just Amy, don't you feel jealous or envy for that?
Do I feel jealous or envy? No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, it's a compliment. So, you know, they say the greatest compliment is to be copied or referenced or whatever. But no,
Wow.
me helping these people and they can help other people, you know, is the greatest gift that I can actually give, because I can't say it like, you know, maybe they can. I can't speak to the elderly audience like she can. And that's really what it's about, is getting the same message but to the people that they can speak to, that maybe they can't resonate with me for some reason. And so no, yeah, no, I think I find it flattering.
Great. This reminded me, I read somewhere that God says that I cannot reach each and every person. That is why I have created a mother. And perhaps
Exactly.
you are really a true heart of a mother. I am so thankful to you. Lovely.
Thank you.
Wow. Beautiful.
It's so true.
Well,
It's so true.
well, Emmy, you speak boldly about no longer fearing the loss of those who disrespect boundaries as you in the powerful quote. Yes, I fully accepted this and believe in this. I too. Well, Amy, how do you guide others to cultivate that same inner strength and same respect? How do you make it possible? to
It,
inculcate that quality into others' life?
yeah, it's probably the hardest part of the whole process because people do have a very difficult time of letting go. But it's getting people to the point of, okay, are we going to continue accepting the abuse and the toxicity? Are we going to continue to accept the disrespect? Or are we going to go ahead and make the changes that we need to make? If this person cannot respect you enough to respect your boundaries and to
Very
respect
good.
your wishes and to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated, okay,
Very
then
right.
there's your answer. But if you have this conversation with them and they realize, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I was making you feel this way, or that this was the issue, then okay, you've got something to work with. But when they can't see it and they still think that you are the problem, and that's the big part, is they turn it on you and they use those manipulation tactics. And that's when we decide, okay, maybe it's time to go no contact with these people for a while, sit with that and see how that feels for a
Right.
while. And that requires a lot of, deep diving within oneself, some journal work. That requires doing some activities, and we do all of that in the course. So it's not just, hey, Amy, I'm having this problem. Okay, cut them off. No, we go through a process. We go through journaling. We go through activities, and we talk it out, and decide if this is going to be something that you're going to be comfortable doing. Because ultimately, a toxic person is not going to stop what they're doing. That's the whole definition of who they are. That's who they are at their core. And without extensive mental health therapy, they're never going to change. And it's getting the clients to realize that. And that's where we got to get them, is to realize they're the problem, you're not. And if they're not willing to take the necessary steps to keep you in their life, then they're not for you. And that's okay. That's okay. Understand, it's okay.
Very correct. Unless and until, also, you can't make someone else to be the way you want to, unless and until you want to make yourself change. Very
Correct.
correct. So unless and until you want, you decide, you pursue, you act, nothing can change the world. Yes,
Yep.
everything begins from yourself. Wow, very correct. Well, Amy, here is my one more question, and
Yes.
that goes like this: that through podcast, stages, and videos, wow, you share your story to inspire just one person to reclaim their power. What message do you hope listeners take away from hearing about your rise and abuse to empowerment? What is that?
Yeah. So my biggest message is that it
Mhm.
doesn't matter where you came from, where you were born, what family you were born into, how much money your family has. None of that matters. All that matters is your determination, your will, your drive, and your motivation to go after the things that you want, to pursue the life that you want. It see, I was raised by a mother who didn't want me. I was taken away from her. She was very neglectful. So right at the get-go, as an infant, mother didn't want me. Put into a toxic family, raised that way up until I was about 25, when I finally left everybody. But it didn't matter. Once I got my head right and I realized the people pleasing that I was trained to do with everybody, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. But once I recognized those qualities and traits within myself, it was very easy for me to notice when I was doing these things. And so it takes that inner reflection, and it takes noticing those patterns. And that's what this whole message is about, is it doesn't matter where you came from. You work on yourself, you work on engaging with your soul and your spirit, you find your purpose, and you don't let anything stop you. And that means studying, until the wee hours of the morning, if that's what it takes. doing all the things that nobody else is willing to do. And that's what it takes. And realizing that you are stronger than you absolutely think that you are, it is in there. You have to tap into that. And that is where courses like mine come into play, content like mine comes into play. It's in there. We can find it. But it's going to take work, and it's going to take looking at the things that you don't want to look at. And that's okay. And looking at the emotions that those feelings kind of bring up, that those thoughts bring up, and that's all okay as well. It's okay to feel the negativity, because then we can take that and realize, I don't want that. When you can feel the negativity and you can feel it burning inside you, and you can decide that your soul doesn't sit well with that, then you can move forward with what you do want.
Right.
Turn that into something very positive and very, very powerful. But it's all in your lap. You're at the driver's seat, regardless of who you think is controlling you. You are in the driver's seat. So God gave you free will. So why would you give it to anybody else, right? He won't even take it from you, right? So just keep that in mind. You are always in the driver's seat when it comes to your free will, and that's what we teach.
Very powerful explanation that you have given, that yes, you are in the driver's seat unless and until you act, nothing can work. Well, so many still more questions are there, but the time do not permit me. Here is my rapid fire question session, and I'm going to ask you few questions. For that, please give me reply either in a one or two words, or yes or no, whatever you feel
Okay.
appropriate. Well, here is my first question. As a single mom, define defining an abusive family, what one word describe the strength you discovered in yourself? What it would be, Amy?
Oh my goodness. I was terrified at first, but found the strength.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what's the biggest myth about healing from mental abuse that you debunk in your courses? What is that myth?
The shadow work.
Hmm.
You have to
Very
do the shadow
correct. Yes, I fully agree with you. If dark psychology had a modern equivalent, what everyday situation would it be? What do you think?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah, for this dark psychology, what one word you would like to give?
Goodness.
Fine. The next question is
Manipulation.
tip.
Go ahead.
It's okay. Quick tip. How can someone start setting boundaries today? One step to set
Self
boundaries.
love. Self love.
Wow, super.
Self love.
Perhaps,
It's got to come from the
Amy, please repeat it again. I love that one word. Please repeat it.
self love.
Self-love.
Come from
Correct.
there.
Very correct. Wow. And Amy, for you, what is the favorite ancient warfare strategy that applies to overcoming toxicity? What it is for
Know
you?
know your enemy. Know
Know
your
your
enemy.
enemy. Very correct. Very correct.
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, well. And before I say something more, I would still request you to tell that, according to you, what message you would like to give to all our listeners, what it is. What do you say? Please go ahead.
I really just want everybody to understand that the strength and power is within you, and it always has been. Regardless of what you've been through, it's within you. And the toxicity and the manipulation and the abuse that you've been through is all circumstantial. The strength and the power and the ability and the purpose is lying within you. You just have to be brave enough to look within yourself.
Oh, very correct. Yes, you are right. Well, Amy, I feel proud and honored that the way you have expressed and share your thoughts, that too, without hiding any facts, all the replies, I think so that yes, they came from the bottom of your heart. And I'm sure that all our listeners who are listening and those who will be listening also, they would definitely get lots and lots of knowledge, wisdom, and direction from your performance that you have given today. So nice of you. Well, Amy, on behalf of this platform, I sincerely pray Almighty God to give you all strength, wisdom, courage, time, power, and everything so that you keep on spreading this beautiful knowledge that you have. Yes, so
Thank you.
nice of you for being with us on this stage. And as and when we request once again, we would love to have you on our stage. It was really a lovely session with you. So
Thank,
nice. I really
thank,
enjoyed it. So nice of you. We say namaste to you. A big namaste to you. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Lovely.